Hey everyone, Matt here from Herbal House, and in this video we are taking a look at the Autopot 4-pot starter kit. So why would you want an Autopot system? Well, essentially we like to describe them as pretty much the easiest hydroponic system to put together and get up and running, because there's no pumps, they're not complicated in the slightest as far as we're concerned. So for a lot of people they are an easy system to set up. They're really flexible in terms of where you can put things and how you put it together, but what we've found is they're a great way to dip your toes into hydroponics without having to invest crazy money into building your own system. So when it comes to these, what we're going to do is a breakdown of the parts that you get here in the box, and then we'll get a little bit more in depth with how these actually work and actuate. Right, so I figured it was worth starting with the larger components of the starter kit here, and the biggest one would be the 47-litre reservoir. So this is going to be where you put your nutrient feed in there and mix it all up. That's got a lovely lid, and it's got a hole down the bottom where you're going to be connecting the water line. You've got a 15-litre pot, so these are easily transferable from out of the base should you need to. They've got some holes in the bottom which is going to be letting the water through. The base itself is probably the most important part, because this is going to hold the valve assembly, which just sits in the base here. We'll be covering that in a moment. But I will mention there has been some changes to Autopot over the years. They've received a lot of feedback from their customers where they had problems with hoses blocking, and a few other little leaks and bits and bobs. So they've made some great improvements. They've increased the hose diameter, which has changed the valve diameter, all for the better. But one of the most recent changes is the hole in the side of the pot here, which now has a rubber grommet which the hose passes through. So this helps limit pressure on the valve. It might not mean much to you, but when we're putting this together, I'll show you what that looks like. So those are the core components. We've got the reservoir, the pot, and the base, but what really makes this tick is the valve assembly in this packet here and the hoses and fittings. So I'm going to crack that open and show you what we've got in there. Alrighty, so I've just broken open the packet of accessories here and laid them out so you can see what we've got. We've got the several meters of the blue silicone hose, which is going to be feeding the water line to each of the valves, bases from the tank. We've got some T-pieces here and cross fittings, so you can cut and join the silicone hose however you need. A couple of taps. We have a small mesh filter here that's going to go inside the reservoir just to keep chunky bits from going down the pipe and causing blockages. We've got some rubber grommets, so those are going to go in the base of the pot and the base of the reservoir there just to keep the hose watertight. We've got some of these fabric cloth style pads. They're going to be going on the inside of the pot. Don't worry, the instructions cover all of this in depth. And these root control discs. So these go in the base under the pot. So this helps prevent roots from growing through the base of the pot and causing any kind of havoc. Last but not least is the valve itself. So this is realistically where the absolute magic is for the Autopot system. It's quite a fancy ball cock arrangement, so it kind of works similar to a bathroom toilet, but in the sense that it's going to have water connected to the front here, and what's going to happen is it's going to allow the base of the pot to flood, and then it's going to allow it to completely drain before refilling. So that makes a big difference, and it doesn't cause things to go soggy. In most cases you're going to be working with a cocoa medium, so you're not going to get a soggy issue and all the water is just going to be wicking up from the bottom, because that's how these systems work. They feed water into the base of the pot and the moisture is wicked up through the medium to the plant itself. So with all of this gear we've laid out here, I'm just going to quickly show you how you'd put together one of the pot bases, just so you've got an idea of how it goes together, and then we'll go out to the showroom and have a look at a system we've pre-built. So I'm going to start with the pot base here, which has just got the lid on the top, so I'll just pop that out and put it to the side. Now we're going to have this hole right here. I'm going to take one of the little top hat grommets that you'll have, and I'm just going to push that in there nice and easy. Of course it's going to put up a fight because it's a very good fit. Excellent, so I've just pushed that into there like so, nice and flush. Now from there you're going to take your blue hose and you're just going to feed it through that hole. Now it is going to be a little bit resistive because it is a tight water seal, so I'm just going to rotate that through and push. So what I've done there is I've just pulled a bit of excess blue hose through there, so that's just poking through there. Now we're going to start with putting the valve in. So what you'll actually see is on the upside down, this is the valve on the bottom. You'll see there's a little D shape over here. Now that's going to line up with a post, which you can see just down in there, and that is what's going to hold this valve in place. So you want to ensure once you put it all together, that lines up there. So these do come pre-assembled like so, but don't be afraid, they do come apart really easy if you ever needed to clean them. Let me just show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen off the front end of this. So there's essentially a gland you're going to wind off there. So it's a nut like so, and what we're going to do is push that blue hose, oh sorry, rookie mistake, take the nut and slide it over the blue hose. I'll just show you in there. Like that, so I've just got the nut there. And then we're just going to push that blue hose onto the nipple end of the valve. So probably should pull a little bit more hose through, make this a bit easier. Just going to twist and wriggle that on there. Okay, so it's just pushed onto the end of the valve there, and now we're just going to pull the nut over and tighten that up. And that should make a nice watertight seal the whole way through. Just going to pull the blue hose back through. And like I said, you've got to line up that valve on that post and it just snaps right in and you are ready to go. So that's going to be allowing it to do its thing, and if you ever needed to service it, they do come out easy enough to do so, but with these improvements they've made, they definitely have a much longer service time before you need to clean anything or even bother with any maintenance, so huge improvement there. From there you're going to pop the cover back on, and that is the valve assembly ready to go. So with this hose, you'll see in our setup in a moment, you're going to cut that to any length you need to set this up however it suits you. Fortunately, it is so easy to just cut and select how you want this layout to suit your tent or your grow space. So I may as well go a step further now that we've got that put together. What they recommend in the instructions would be taking one of these gold root disc things and facing that shiny side up, putting that in the base. You've got the pot like so, and it recommends putting the fabric disc, Merrick's disc, or I think they call it, and that goes on the inside of the pot, and then that is just going to sit in there, and it is pretty much good to go, bar putting some medium in there obviously, which would be your cocoa, your perlite and things like that. But in a nutshell, this is an operating Autopot system once you hook it up to this tank. So now that we've covered pretty much the fundamentals of putting this together, we'll pop out to the showroom and show you the one we've got set up in a 1.2 by 1.2 tent. Righto, this is our showroom installation of the 4-pot starter pack. Now I will mention this is actually the slightly older generation, which has the V cut into the base for the valve to sit in. So with these ones you can just rip the entire thing out, but with that new style I've got that rubber grommet with the hose passing through. So what we've done is we've just cut the pipes to suit our little setup. Don't get me wrong, we would recommend 4 pots for a 1.2 space. It's a great number, but what we've done here is we've just wedged the tank in here for the sake of display purposes. So we've cut the hose, we've put a valve in, and then from the valve it runs off to a T-pipe, which then feeds to a junction so that all the pipes are fed downstream. Now what you might do with that second valve tap is put another hose on there so you've got a drain in case you wanted to just turn a valve and drain your tank or your pots. Easy enough. We would just pull the hose off in this instance. But this is how we've set it up, and as you can see in the top here we've got a sort of cocoa looking mix. This is actually Canna-Terra Professional that we've just placed in the top here. For a lot of customers of ours, we would recommend using a cocoa perlite 70-30 mix blend. That seems to be the most common choice of medium for this stuff, and it works really well. The only other thing to note is at the base of the pot you're going to have that little fabric disc. They do recommend having about an inch of something like clay balls, perlite or vermiculite, just to create a spacer from the cocoa so that the moisture can wick up through that and then into the cocoa. I will mention Autopots are also starting to offer the air bases, they call them, which essentially replaces the need for that inch of coarse medium at the bottom. Another accessory that does go well with these, they call them air domes, and they're designed to sit in the base of the pot. You connect them to an air pump and they just pump oxygen into the base of the pot for added aeration, because plants love oxygen, don't they? So this is how we've set it up. As you can see, you're fully welcome to customise the kit to suit your needs. Again, this is just display purposes, and we definitely haven't filled these pots correctly. We'd usually recommend having about an inch from the top. It's all a bit sporadic here because we're just working with what we had laying around. So in a nutshell, this is the Autopot system. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with us here at Herbal House. Thank you for watching.